Okay. How old were you guys when you met your spouse? Mom?
I just got into college. We met in the basement of our dorm room. We were introduced by a friend of ours, but we only stayed friends. We didn't date right away.
And same with you, Dad, I guess?
That'd be correct.
Okay, describe your courtship.
Go ahead, Dad.
We started dating senior year, and we graduated college, and we were still dating. I went back to Rockland County. She went home to Brooklyn. After about a year, I left Rockland County. If you can't beat him, join him. And I moved to Brooklyn for another 3 years, and after 5 years, we got married.
Were problems evident during your courtship?
No.
Yeah, it was all rosy.
Oh, yeah? Okay. So, why did you guys decide to get married?
To have children.
That's the only reason?
Well, we loved each other, and the point of getting married is that you want to bring a family into the world.
Okay. So, describe your engagement.
You do that one. The planning involved in that.
I had picked out a ring for your mom.
You took a class.
So I knew, I was spending a lot of money on it. And then we went to I told her that I had won a contest at work, and we had a free dinner at Windows on the World on top of the World Trade Center, which is a lie. And then at dinner, I proposed, and afterwards we went to see a Broadway show.
Nice.
A Broadway show that we saw like a few years earlier at the student rate, all the way up in the balcony. And when he took me on our engagement night, we sat right at the front.
So what happened to this ring?
I'm pretty sure that's not a question. Keep going.
I wasn't even married a year, and the stone fell out. And of course, we weren't insured. So we didn't get another one until this year, our 20th. He bought me a beautiful new ring. It was even nicer than the first one. So I'm very happy.
Okay, so so what were you looking for in a spouse, Mom?
Right here. See this? This is what I was looking for. Funny. Someone who is responsible. Good head on their shoulders. Smart. Loving. Nurturing. And did I say funny? Yes, funny. Very important. Good times and bad times, they can make you laugh. I think that's one of the most important things.
Handsome was her requirement?
Oh, handsome, of course.
Thank you.
And Dad?
She had to be hot,
Of course.
smart, funny, a life companion. We were friends first, and I think that's what made it work.
So how long have you been married?
20 years of wedded bliss.
Okay, and how old were you guys when you met each other? Senior year, so that's...
No, we met each other as freshmen. We were 18.
Okay.
But we didn't date till we were 21. We were friends first.
And how old were you when you got married?
26?
Yes.
Okay, so how does the reality of marriage compare to your expectations of what marriage would be?
We both had excellent examples in our parents. So I went in with full expectation of what was required, and it lived up to my expectations. Both our parents are still married together, and they're both celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary, so it started with a good example.
And it helps that we're compatible. We have
True.
the same values. We expect the same things out of life, so it works.
Okay, so how do children affect marriage?
A lot of work.
Despite that, we're still married. Our fights are almost exclusively over children.
Oh, that's nice. Scapegoats. So, how important are money in marriage?
Well, I'd say I don't think you have to have a lot, but you have to have it to get, by, because if you're struggling, it's going to make the marriage harder.
Money problems causes stress. Stress leads to divorce. We happen to be okay. We're not rich, we're not poor, but then again, we're also not materialistic.
Okay. And how important is sex in marriage?
I'd say it's pretty important.
Okay, we'll move on. So, what about similar values and religion? How important is that?
Oh, that's important too.
Having the same religion is important?
Well, we want to raise our kids a certain way. I would think that it would be very hard.
Listen,
It's
you don't
a-
have
marriage
to
is-
be the same religion. It's just one more challenge to the marriage.
Right.
And don't forget, you're not just marrying the girl, you're marrying her family.
True. So, cultural background, how important is that?
Same answer. It's just one more added burden to the relationship. You can make it work. Two people can make it work. It's just one additional challenge.
And, educational background, how important is that?
Again, these are all things that test a marriage. If you have one person who's highly educated and the person is not, it's just one more thing that you don't share in common. Each one of those things is another challenge to the marriage. It's not to say it can't be overcome, but it doesn't make it any easier.
And if there was an age differential, would that also just be another thing to get past, or you don't think that's as big a deal?
The more in common you have, the easier it is. If you have 10 years between you, you have less in common. If you have 10 days between you, you have one less gap to overcome.
Okay, so let's say some teenagers are thinking about getting married. What advice would you give to them?
Why the rush?
Okay.
Make sure you're friends. Make sure on a daily basis you'd want to be together. Marriage, a lot of people get married, I think, because they have these romantic ideas about marriage. Marriage, it requires
There's good times and
work,
bad times.
yeah. And you have to, there's a give and take always. Sometimes, one person is making out better than the other at moments, and then, you give, and then they receive, and vice versa.
There's no way teenagers are emotionally mature enough to make that decision.
Okay. And if a young married couple is having marital difficulties and thinking about a divorce, what advice would you give them?
Work on it. Don't give up too easily. It wasn't all roses for my parents or her parents. They stuck it out and stood by each other.
Okay.
The marriage is for life. I
True.
believe that.
And you think marriage counseling is a good idea before, or you think you should
Before you get married?
before you get divorced?
Oh,
Yes.
I think helping, speaking to someone together could possibly help.
Okay. And looking back, what would you do differently if you could, besides losing your your engagement ring?
Well, I've often told my wife that my next marriage would be completely different.
He said that on our honeymoon, and it made everybody's mouths drop open. All the other married couples were like,
That's funny.
and I laughed hysterically. I thought it was so funny.
That's actually really funny. How was the honeymoon?
Nice.
Sean, we're very compatible. Same religious background, same upbringing, same family structure. Some people could say we're brother-sister couple.
Do we look alike?
That's funny that you both did.
It really made it easier. There's no doubt about it.
Okay, so what would you say is the key to a happy marriage?
Friendship. And humor. What do you think? Just wanting to be with the person.
Compatibility and a friend. A lot of guy friends I have want to spend their free time away from their wives. That's not my attitude. I'd rather spend more time with your mom.
Okay. And let's say that a couple's deciding whether or not to live together before they get married. You think that's a good idea?
No. I would just say sex and compatibility in sex is definitely important to a relationship.
Okay, so...
Not recommending because I don't know firsthand. But if that's one way you find out that you're incompatible, maybe in the modern age that's what works.
And you know, because some people say that living together before you get married is how you... That's like when people usually separate, and once you...
I've heard that because there's no...
Once you get married, they say you start working on it.
Right. There's no reason to work on it. You don't have the same reason to work on it if you're not married and living together. It could be an easier... You have it out.
Okay. But you guys like your marriage?
Very happy.
Okay. That...
Look, he's a keeper.
You have guys have any last notes? Anything else you want to tell the world?
I'll say what I said before. And I say it to all of you. Marriage is work. It never ends, the work. You can make it easier on yourself by having more in common. Whether that's your morals, your religious background, your ethnic background. All those things make it easier. Doesn't mean that that's the formula to success. Just recognize everything that is an opposite is a challenge, and opposites might attract, but I don't think they last.
And it just makes it harder when you have children. I think that if you were just going to be together without having children, maybe those things wouldn't be as much of a challenge as it is when you're trying to raise children and bringing them up a certain way. You want your values to be the same, because otherwise there's going to be conflict there.
Okay, and just thought of a question. Do you think that pets have any effect on a marriage, or not really?
It's just another kid.
I have one for sale.
Okay. On that note, thank you for your words of wisdom.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.